welcome to today's Vehicle Visionary. This is the first video of 2020 for Vehicle Visionary, and ironically, this is a 2018 Jeep Grand Cherokee Trailhawk. Now, I realize that most of the time I do videos on new vehicles, but some of you might be looking to buy something used, maybe like this Trailhawk. So I'm going to tell you about it today and tell you about one interesting feature that I found that I thought was a little bit quirky, so to speak. Not to go all Doug DeMuro on you or anything like that, but I did think it was very interesting. So let's take a look at this and see if this might be something you want to buy as maybe a second vehicle or something to go off-roading with or just enjoy on the weekends, whatever the case may be. I'm here at Orr Ford today, and of course I would like to thank my friends at Orr Ford for giving me the opportunity to pull this vehicle out of their used inventory and tell you all about it. Obviously, there are a couple of different engine options. You can get the 5.7 liter V8 that puts out, I believe, 360 horsepower. I'll correct that on the screen if I got that number wrong. But in the case of this particular Jeep, it's putting out 295 horsepower and 290 foot-pounds of torque out of its 3.6 liter V6 that is mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. When it comes to acceleration, it is smooth and assertive with this V6 that's under the hood of this particular model, and you will get good gas mileage compared to the larger 5.7 liter V8, 18 in the city and 25 miles per gallon out on the highway. You will find a very much user-friendly touchscreen in the interior of this Grand Cherokee, but I will say that the interior space is lacking a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit when compared to other crossover SUVs that are in the same class as this Cherokee. The suspension does do a phenomenal job of smoothing out on rough surfaces, which of course is what this particular vehicle is meant to tackle. The potential payload, depending on which model you pick, is going to range between 1,054 pounds up to as much as 1,496 pounds. Here under the floor in the rear with the automatic liftgate open, you will find a full-size spare tire. So if you're out off-roading and happen to get a flat, you don't have to worry about putting a donut on. There is a full-size spare underneath the floor right here with all of the tools, of course, to change that right here as well. You can lower the rear seats to increase your cargo space depending on what your needs are. But like I said, you will find a little bit less cargo space in this particular crossover SUV than you will in other vehicles that are in the same class. And here is the Jeep Grand Cherokee's remote. Obviously pretty easy to figure out. You can hit the lock button twice and then hit this button twice and it will start the engine automatically. Nice feature there. You can also open and close the automatic rear lift gate with this button on the bottom left-hand corner. And here in the rear seat, you will find a reasonable amount of room for your rear seat passengers. If you only have 2 rear seat passengers as opposed to the potential of 3, you will find an armrest with cup holders located here in the center of the 60-40 split rear seats. You will also find dual air conditioning vents, dual USB ports, and something that I think is a nice addition, a power outlet. But one of the greatest features I've found in this particular Grand Cherokee is the fact that it has a panoramic sunroof. So what was that interesting feature that I was referring to earlier? It has to do with the mode selector right here on the center console just behind the shifter. And you have several different modes to choose from. You have auto, you have sand, snow, mud, and rock. And of course, to use rock mode, you're going to have to be in 4-wheel drive. You'll get a little message on the dashboard that will tell you that. But I've seen other vehicles, when you are selecting modes, if you continue to turn the selector, eventually it's going to go all the way around and just keep going through the modes. On this particular selector, for whatever reason, and some people might not think this is a big deal, but I thought it was interesting, when you get to a certain point, you're just going to turn it, but nothing is going to change. So you can only go from auto to mud, and then you have to go back the other way. Very interesting in my personal opinion. Now, you do have steering wheel mounted controls, of course, that allow you to go through all kinds of different settings. I won't take time to go through all of that, A nice modern looking instrument cluster, very easy to read. I like the layout and I like the way that looks. You have shifter paddles. You do have dual zone climate control. You can control the radio, the volume, change stations, whatever you want to, whether it's right here or on the screen itself. And yeah, this screen is so easy to use. I'm just going to kind of show you on the screen, just going from one section of the screen to the next. Very, very, very simple to use. I really like what I see here. So if this is something you're looking for, I think this is a very user-friendly vehicle. Of course, the touchscreen itself is very user-friendly, but overall, I think this is a user-friendly vehicle. So why don't we get it out on the road and see how it handles and how it drives? Now, one thing you might notice here on the test drive, or you probably noticed it earlier in the video, did you notice I said today is my first video of 2020? And I'm not doing this late in the year. It's January 3rd today. It's actually in the mid-60s here. I'm in Northwest Louisiana, for those of you who may not know that. So that's why I'm dressed the way that I am. I wouldn't mind if it was like this during the summer. I'm just not so sure that I like it during the winter so much. So, what are my impressions of driving the Jeep Grand Cherokee Trailhawk? I could probably say that very easily if I wasn't on camera right now. But anyway, well, I must say, it handles nicely. I like the feel of the steering. It's nice and responsive. The steering wheel itself is comfortable. You know, for a crossover SUV, it's about what you would expect. And if you're not aware of what a crossover is, basically it's a car that sits at SUV ride height. So the handling characteristics of this Jeep Grand Cherokee, another stutter there, are really nice. Now, I don't have a place where I can really take it off-road and really put it through its paces in that respect, but it is what it is. So I'm going to do a quick turnaround here and do a little acceleration test and just see how it does. Acceleration isn't really what this particular model of Jeep Grand Cherokee is necessarily noted for. That's not what it's meant to be. If it had the bigger 5.7 liter Hemi in it, well, obviously that would be a bit of a different situation, but compared to vehicles of years gone by, this isn't too bad. It's not mind-blowing acceleration. It's okay. It's going to get you down the road. And for somebody who used to not be a race car driver, it probably isn't too bad. I have to remember that sometimes. Now, overall, I must say, there are sections of this road that I'm on that are a little bit rough, and it's soaked up the bumps pretty well so far. I've got a bridge coming up that's pretty rough, so we'll see how it does up there in just a few seconds. But I must say, I'm very comfortable. I like the way, like I said, the steering wheel feels. Everything's easy to get to. Change lanes here real quick. Got a slowpoke in front of me. You can't see that, but well, you're about to see them when I pass them, I think, here in just a second. But anyway, let's see how it does over some of these rough bridges that I have to cross over here as I make my way down the road here. That's really not too bad. My daily driver would have been a lot less enjoyable to drive over that bridge than this Trailhawk. And so, like I said, the suspension when you get out onto a rough surface, you know, off-road, on a trail, whatever you're doing, is going to really soak that up nicely. It's not going to make for a difficult, unenjoyable, jarring type of ride. It actually smooths out quite nicely on surfaces like that. So overall, I must say, I really like the way this Grand Cherokee drives. I like the way it rides and handles, and it's easy to see out of. Plus, I have the panoramic sunroof shade open. The sunroof itself, of course, is not open, but ultimately, I have to give this an A+. It's quite a nice vehicle. If this was something I was in the market for, I'd have to say it would be a potential choice, although I'd like to have a little more horsepower than 295. And that will bring to a close my time with this 2018 Jeep Grand Cherokee Trailhawk. I'd like to thank Orr Ford for loaning me this vehicle for the day, and of course all of you for taking the time to watch. If you haven't subscribed to Vehicle Visionary just yet, please be sure to lightly tap that subscribe button. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and make sure to share this on your timelines on social media. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you next time on Vehicle Visionary.